but we're here. Says here, the trouble I have every week, it always has this great big huge block telling me it's going live any second. I'm just going to sign into the chat so we can talk to each other. Let's take a second. Get some water, get a coffee, go to the make your bed. I'm just quickly loading in here so that we can talk back and forth. Say good morning. There we go. All right, so why am I dressed like this? I am dressed to work out because when you have a mental illness, whatever it is, depression, anxiety, bipolar, schizophrenia, whatever it is, you have to have plans of intention, I call them. So you might want to have a pen and paper. I'm going to put the clock on. I am trying to keep myself accountable to short and sweet with lots of meat and potatoes. Like, I made that up. But anyways, if you want to accomplish things dealing with any kind of, right now, even stress, like they've said that doctors say that stress is like, can make you so sick. It causes, it creates cortisol in your system, and that sends a message to your body to be in fight or flight zone. Therefore, you carry fat around the belly because it's gonna reserve calories, keep you ready for what's about to happen. So that's why some people who are always stressed out say, I just can't get rid of the belly fat no matter how much I work out. So that's why. And so monitoring and managing your stress is super important. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you subscribe, thank you very much for being part of our community. You will hear me focus sometimes on bipolar because I do have bipolar depression, but due to COVID, I'm trying to reach out to people and help you all deal with how you're feeling because it's real. Your emotions are real, and how you're experiencing them and managing them is the tricky part. So I want to repeat that. If you could say hello in the chat, that would be cool. Otherwise, this will go live and you can hit #replay. I'm learning how to look up questions and such. So, the reason I'm in my workout clothes is not to be show off, but I honestly was going to get showered and get dressed and all that for my own sake of feeling good. But it's nice out, like it's not sunny, but it'd be good to do a run. So I'm going to go for a run. So being intentional. So it's funny, a lot of times you probably, if you are in my city and you see me out and about, I'm probably in workout clothes. And that's because either I have the intention to work out or I just worked out. If I get all dolled up, I just say, nah, never mind. So anything that you want to accomplish when you have a mental illness, and in my case, bipolar, PTSD, and ADHD, I have to put plans in place. And then how to be intentional with those plans. And that's why I will get out of bed and make the bed right away, because I just know self-awareness is a really important thing when you suffer from any kind of mental health issues. So, for example, speaking to my bipolar community, I have done a lot of work on myself, and people ask me, why do I know so much? Well, I've never been one to sit back and hope it works out. You know, I get information, and also just to toot your horn, if you're bipolar, you tend to be, which I thought I was really dumb. Well, only in the last few years I recognize that some of the most innovative, intelligent people in the world are bipolar or were bipolar. So intention is important, and any kind of mental health issue could cause you to be tired. And so, therefore, you really have to be intentional. Now, here's something interesting right now I want to point out for everyone. Maybe you're going to drop in to learn. Right now, I have no idea where it's coming from. Stopped. I think it's my neighbors, and they're playing their boom box, and the bass is getting on my nerves. So people with it'll actually interrupt my ability to talk. So that's why I had to address it. So here's the cool part. With anxiety, with depression, with anything, if you can say, I feel because. So the reason I have the right to have an opinion about this is, one, lived experience. As I said, I'm bipolar. And two, I went to college for social service worker. It's a diploma, not a degree, but I did finish it with honors. And I did study the brain. I did study mental illnesses and how lack of dopamine in your brain will cause you to feel depression and a whole bunch of other interesting stuff. So it's difficult to concentrate if I have an outside sound, because my brain wants to go to that sound, and I can't. I identified with people in the autistic community that have sensory issue, like sensory overload. I can't go to a show with strobe lights. I wanted to see my daughter's last year. I think it was last year, her cheerleading event, but because I wanted to go, but I paid for it the next day because the strobe lights are too much sensory overload for my brain. If you have anxiety so bad, you can actually see spots. So I've worked really hard the last few years to overcome social anxiety. It was a lot of effort, but I almost created like I was in a bubble, and then no one else and nothing else existed, and that I could literally blur out seeing people. That's how powerful our brain is in being able to cope and deal with things. Although that wasn't healthy, that's the way I did it. And so the reason I was seeing spots is because my doctor explained to me, you can have such a heightened sense of anxiety that I was silently hyperventilating. And those of us, people that have a mental illness, unfortunately, even have our own stigma about having it. And so I've learned to hyperventilate silently as strange as that sounds. And so my doctor and my doctor is Dr. Giuseppe Guyana. He's the head of psychiatry at the St. Thomas Elgin General Hospital in my city. And I had an appointment with him yesterday on Zoom. And we discussed why I'm more irritable. Someone in your life is, if they're super anxious, irritability shows up. If your bipolar, anxiety is a side effect of being bipolar, because bipolar deals with the frontal lobe of your brain where all your emotions are and where all your reasoning is. And so if anyone, and if you're younger than me or my kids' age in their 20s, you'll want to look this kid's book up. It's cute and it'll make you laugh. But saying what if because of anxiety is what I call the Chicken Little syndrome. So Chicken Little was running around warning everyone the sky is falling, and it wasn't. And so she or he, I forget, got everyone around him or her upset, and got them to believe that the sky was falling. And so what if is a dangerous question when it comes to anxiety. Asking what if is just as useful as asking why didn't I not get married? Like dealing with your past. Why did I not get married to an alcoholic? Why did I do that? Like, that's not helpful because you can't go back there and change that. It's already happened. And what if is being worried about things that you don't even know are going to happen, and they haven't happened. And I will tell you from someone who is type A personality, I'm a perfectionist, which is not a good thing. You might think it is. If you read the book by Dr. Kevin Lehman, and it's called The Birth Order, that's a good book. And his other book about perfectionism, I do not have off the top of my head, but if you Google his name, Dr. Kevin Lehman, so I'll put it in the chat right now. Let's see here. Still asking me to sign in, which is crazy. So look up Dr. Kevin. I think his name's spelled like this. Lehman. You know what? If you don't mind humoring me, let's just take a quick look. Because I really adore him. He's funny. He's been around a long time. And I'd hate to spell his name wrong. Yeah, it's Dr. Kevin Lehman. And it's spelled Leman, so I'm glad I checked that because I was wrong. And his book on perfectionism has a lot of books. So I thought it would just pop up. Humor me for a second. Well, I'm not seeing it, but if you do Dr. Kevin Lehman and perfectionism, you can get that book. So what was I trying to say? So Oh, darn. That's what happens with bipolar. You go blank, but my kind friends tell me that that happens to them and they're not bipolar. So, um, oh, what if? So, what if you're a perfectionist, that's bad because you're always putting yourself under undue pressure. You're like Chicken Little. You're running around telling like, have you heard? Did you know? Did you hear that? Like, don't be that person. First of all, you're annoying. Like, self awareness. I've come to have self awareness. Speaking of self awareness, I got to get back to the clock here because we want to make sure that we stay on time here. Self awareness is a really important thing because it matures you. If you desire to be self aware, then the sky is the limit because you can become more refined in someone who's running around saying OMG and what if the sky is falling, you're not going to get the job of your dreams because that does not that does not that kind of behavior shows people that you're not in control of situations, like you're not a problem solver, you know. So the reason I am as far as I am in my business, Living Live Granola, if you don't know what it is, look up livinglivegranola.ca, go under retail, and you'll see all the stores that I've opened accounts with. And so that was hard. That wasn't easy. And the reason I'm telling you that is not as a shameless plug, but that I would not be respected as a business person when I approach these owners, managers, and executives if I seemed terrified. I mean, it's natural to be anxious at a job interview or whatever, but if you deal with fight or flight response, like if a bear is chasing you and you're scared to death, that makes sense. But you can be anxious for a job interview, but not to the point where you're going to faint. You need to work on that. You need to learn how to calm your anxiety. So I learned in school, I feel because. One thing that my doctor told me to do is to put on a cue card something. And I'll say it probably every episode. Thoughts aren't facts. So here's my analogy. Thoughts aren't facts. If you think something and you make it a fact when it's not even true in the first place, it's just created by your thoughts of what if and anxiety, then you respond as if that thought of that came from fear and terror and you made it a fact. Now you're responding to something that's not even potentially true because, as they say, most of what we worry about never happens. And so then you expel all this energy over what if, and it didn't happen. It didn't come true. So that's a really important lesson to learn. You can enjoy your life a whole lot more, if anxiety is your number one beast. You need to be able to learn. So I was going on about the cue card. So for a while on a cue card, I put thoughts aren't facts. And the reason it's ingrained in my brain is because I taped it in my car and I taped it on the bathroom mirror, excuse me. And I taped it on, I had it in my briefcase, and I would open up my briefcase and see it and be embarrassed because maybe my clients saw that, right? But I was trying to get it in my head. And I can officially go out in public without that fear of other people. Now, here's something that will resonate with people with a mental illness. Your brain is your computer, and your computer tells you what's happening. My brain is the lens in which I interpret the world, and so I respond based on what I think is actually happening. If you have a family member with a mental illness, they will respond and react sometimes irrationally. The reaction doesn't match the situation. And so you need to learn as a team. If you really love somebody, I have bipolar, but if one of my family members has supported me all this time, and by me supported, I mean they've learned Stephanie's freaking out. Let's go touch her shoulder and look her in the eye and go, Stephanie, it's okay. Like, you don't have to be this scared, okay? So that I can come back to rational because I'm responding in fight or flight response. You need to learn how to be with the person that you love. But if someone in my life comes down with, that's a terrible way to put it. I apologize. Someone develops cancer, God forbid, I would learn how to take care of them. I am also a healthcare aide. That's the thing with people with mental illnesses. I am a jack of all trades. There is not one job I probably haven't done aside from being a doctor, a psychiatrist, and I've never built a house before, but pretty much everything else is a green light. And so I'm a healthcare aide as well. And so I have, helped people with their personal hygiene and such that were dying. And so I would learn what my family member needs. I'm at home. I will use hand sanitizer. My eyes are always itchy. I don't know why. Ever since I was little. I'm not allergic to anything. Maybe it's like, I don't know. I'm just itchy eyes. So you'll learn. I would learn how to take care of someone in my family if they had cancer. Same thing. You know what? It's not fair that you or someone in your family has a severe mental illness. But you know what? That's what it means to be called family, or if you're married to that person. It's really sad when you make a promise to love, honor, and cherish, and most spouses walk away. But on the other hand, I'm going to say to you, to the one with the illness, you can't expect people to not be frustrated, not be happy, always you bringing them down because you're not doing your part to exercise, to eat right, to take your meds on time as prescribed, to go to your doctor's appointments, to see your counselor if you need to see one. One thing that I learned in school is called life skills. And life skills go from hygiene to self-care of any kind. So the thing about anxiety is, don't be Chicken Little. And also, if you're the person who's stressed, like even just stress can make you irrational. I've seen people absolutely lose contact with reality because they're so stressed out, but they don't have bipolar or schizophrenia or any diagnoses of that sort. But yeah, anxiety is a really difficult thing. So a takeaway is write on a cue card. I feel because. I was explaining to one of my children this week. If someone says something really not nice to you, your response says a lot about you. And so you need to realize that if you work on yourself, then you will have tools. If I could show you all my mental health tools in this room, that whole wall would be full of boxes full of tools. It would be ridiculous how many tools I have on my own accord went and got taught or read books. Because of my illness, because of my background, I have always been interested in sociology. Me and math? No way. Like, no way. I passed grade 10 by the skin of my nose the second time and got the heck out of Dodge. I tried to go get my social work degree at Western 5 years ago when we did stats. That was the end of the road for me. But I am very interested in sociology, psychology, and society. And so I am always teaching myself something. And communication is a real important thing. Some of this stuff that I talk about might be repetitive because you can never hear it enough. Here's you and your friend or your mom and dad or your husband or wife, and you're the one who is stressed or has an illness. If I was telling my child, I said, look, you need to have, like people pull their gun from their holster to shoot. It's not nice. But I'm just saying, like, you be ready. Maybe it's more, I apologize by not being sensitive to what's happening right now in parts of the world. So let's do a different analogy of my son installs furnaces for like the steel for a living, and he has a holster of tools, and so he'll pull out his drill. When someone says something unkind to you, if you have PTSD or you have a disease that causes you to have a quick rage response, then you need to acknowledge that, and you need to have in place a step in your head of, okay, I'm really mad at what they said. Step back. And you're allowed to say, you know what, I gotta go take a minute, because it is better to do that than it is to lose it. Okay? So, and if you lose it at home, you'll lose it at work. You'll lose it on your boyfriend or girlfriend at school or high school or whatever. You want to become the most self-aware human that you can be, because that's why there's divorces, because people pretend sometimes for an entire year to be something that they're not. So be authentic, but become self-aware so that you can be a blessing to people in their life and to yourself. So one thing I learned in school is called active listening. It's hysterical that I'm using my schooling now, because I thought it was a waste of money. I came out in 1996, that'll age me, with $8,000 in debt, which, that's a lot. That was a lot then. And I couldn't find a job because I was so young, no one would take me seriously. So it's funny how my schooling is coming into use to me, and I'm remembering it because I studied hard. A lot of Western University students go to take the Fanshawe SSW course and say that it's pretty intense. So I'm proud of that I have an 85 average, because it doesn't validate who I am, but it tells me I'm not dumb, right? people who are different, autistics, like Asperger's is a form of autism, bipolar. You know, we get teased, we get bullied, and we start to believe from everyone we're dumb, and we're not. But what I learned is something called active listening. So active listening. Here's a funny joke I said. Probably not funny because you may have heard it about 150 times. So we have one mouth and two ears. And I believe in God. You can call him what you want, but I call him God, and I think that's why God created me with two ears, is to listen. And I want to reiterate what I said last week was active listening is this. So your friend says, I'm so anxious about my physics exam. Like, it's the only course I need to get into medical school. Active listening is, so I hear you saying that you're really anxious about your physics exam because you think it will stop you from getting into medical school if you don't get a good grade. And the person will go, yeah. It's amazing how people will feel like you really care. I'm telling you this, so something that I had to tell Joe and the kids. Do not, when I'm upset, tell me I'm doing something bad. It's not the time. But a way to settle anyone is to say, active listening. Stephanie, you seem really upset. And I'm going to drop my shoulders and I'm going to go, yes, I am. What are you upset about? And then I'll say, I have so much to do and I have so many calls to make and I don't know how I'm going to get it all done because I'm spinning. And then the active listening will say, why don't you sit down? It sounds like you feel overwhelmed by all the work you have to do. Is that right? My shoulders will drop even more. And I'll say yes. And then, you know what's a really cool trick? Say, tell me more. And then I will tell you. Then when I'm stopped talking, count to 3. 1 Mississippi, in your head, of course, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. And then after that, I might tell you more. And, you know, I was in a crazy MLM business, but I actually know that I was supposed to be in it because there was the president there was very successful. I don't even remember his name. But he said that go into a room and ask everyone about them because people love to talk about themselves, and pause, and they will talk more and then say, it was good to see you. And he said, know more about the people in the room that you're in than anyone knows about you when you leave. And that's a cool thing. And that takes being self-aware. Okay? And this stuff applies to mental health. But this stuff is golden in business. The reason I've done so well in business is because there's something that if you have a mental illness, I want to tell you, give yourself a pat on the back because you have survived this far. Now you just need to learn how to manage your symptoms and then look out world. Okay? So like I looked over here because I taught a course in the winter time. And the one thing that I wrote in capital letters, so I'm telling the truth. Here it is. See if you can see it. Here it says self-awareness. And then below it I wrote, we were having a discussion. Too much time worrying instead of just doing it. So, I'm going to close, but that's what you need to understand. Whether you're here on my page and look at all the other videos, the first few were pretty specific about bipolar. And I will be I think I want to do some specific stuff about bipolar because, that's the real reason I started this, is because there isn't peer support. But right now with COVID and stress, one thing my doctor said yesterday was, Stephanie, just need to learn how to manage your stress. The other thing I want to be candid about is if you are on medications, you will experience possibly the side effect of sleepiness, and you may want to sleep a lot. If you're a family member, please understand that these are heavy, heavy drugs. But it was really funny when someone said to my mom, we were doing a pickup of our oats for livinglivegranola.ca. And go there now and sign up for our VIP list, and you're going to get special prizes and promotions, but only if you're in on the list. I will put that in the chat too right now. But the takeaway is this: if you can learn to be emotionally intelligent. And I said to my friends, and I call people that are other people that are bipolar or schizophrenic or whatever, my friends, because we understand each other. Autistic, Asperger's, autistic, because we understand each other. I almost think of this, and this is only me speaking. I can't speak for those other people that I just pointed out. But I find this, you can take it as a blessing, because I've had to learn to be emotionally intelligent. You can be so smart, but be a total idiot or jerk, okay? Then it all of the good things about you being brilliant are overshadowed by the fact that you're just a mean person. So I almost take this as a blessing. And so there's your takeaways this week. I want you to, for fun, look up the book Chicken Little. And I want you to see if you see yourself as a Chicken Little. The joke I say to, I'm going to tease my mom right now. My mom adores me. She's a worrier, but so was my grandma. If you model that, your kids will learn it. And that's not good. So the joke with my mom is, I'll go, the sky is falling, and she just loves me. So no, Mom, if you see this, don't be upset. But that's the way they lived, because her mother was in the Great Depression. So the worry came down the pipe. So the takeaway is, are you Chicken Little? So look up the book. Learn to get out a piece of paper. There's a saying, if it's not written, it's not real. Right? I feel because. Now, if you're in the parking lot of Walmart and you can't do this, just put your hand on your chest, sit in your car, and close your eyes and go, I feel because. If you can name it, you can slay it. That's what I just made up just now. If you can name it, you can slay it. And if you can say, I feel anxious because I'm afraid of all these people in the store, But here's the trick. Always go ahead and do the thing you're afraid of, as long as it's moral and not against the law. You know, it for me is just as simple as going to buy groceries. I was fine, and then all of a sudden in my 40s, I was crippled with fear to go into the grocery store. There have been some things I have done not well that I am embarrassed about. But, here's where you, as the support person, family member, can change my life. You know what Joe said to me? My hubby said, Stephanie, you go out there in public. You hold your head up high because you deserve to have a good life, and you deserve because you belong. And now, if I see that person, I just go, hey. And I think the funny thing is they're the ones that are feeling uncomfortable, not me. And I just go on, and I'm not left with that traumatic 2-day, I want to puke, I saw so and so moments. I'm just like, I feel because I know why, I acknowledge it, and I'm going to let it pass. So I feel because, active listening, and are you being Chicken Little? So that's what we're talking about today. I'm going to go work out now, go do my run, because that will make me feel good. The book from Dr. James Phelps and Dr. Chris Aiken called Bipolar Not So Much, Managing Your Moods. On page 106 says, a brisk walk 3 times a week is just as effective as a antidepressant, but with more long-lasting effects. Now, it'll blow your mind when you go to read that, because it's exactly what it says. Because sometimes the bipolar brain, sometimes I have a photogenic memory, and sometimes I can't remember what you just said, and that's just the way it is. Well, I'm Stephanie Brown. Thank you for joining me today, and please share this channel with someone you think who needs it, and we'll see you next time. Have a wonderful weekend, and you can look me up on Facebook, Stephanie Brown. You may email me at stephanie@livingalive.today if you have any questions. Feel free to private message me on Facebook if you wanted to talk privately as well. So I hope you have a great day. And the best answering machine I ever heard was make it a great day. And if you're going through severe depression, and if you put your socks on, celebrate. Find something today to celebrate. Because as Joe has said to me before, are you doing better yesterday? Are you doing better today than you did yesterday? Then you're ahead.